Worship? Nani wa reggae?
I don't mind reggae. By the way. Growing up, we had brothers, like you asked.
Yes.
So our eldest are brothers, and they forced us to listen to reggae.
I'm not
morning to evening. Imagine
reggae and rap.
Yeah.
So reggae, worship. So yako ni?
A cocktail, dance hall, anything interesting.
Sharon?
Rap and worship.
Hakuna mtu wa IBM hapa.
I think una learn kunini ku tone down with time. Sindio? Because sasa mwezi kila mtu kwa extreme. Because ukiwa worship the whole day, warap ataumia.
I wonder how my siblings, like my children, the siblings, wenye watakuwa sasa juu kama nimekaa na muziki zote na mimi nazipenda.
I love all the DJ. Woi.
Imagine.
Tutakuita hapa show. Utuambie tu venye kutaenda. But moving forward with our conversation, guys, I want us to be as candid as possible. You guys have a YouTube channel, so you talk about anything. You put it on the table.
Yes.
Let's put it on the table.
Sure.
Yes.
So, what is your understanding of sibling rivalry? Maybe we can start with Tuanze na Fifia.
Okay, sibling rivalry, I would say, is those differences or competition. Things that happen amongst siblings. There will be brothers and sisters, and that will just tear you apart. So for me, that's what I would say. That is sibling rivalry. Just things that happen among siblings, then that would, if not handled well, will tear you, apart. Yeah.
What are some of these things? Maybe Hilda, for you. You have siblings, so what are some of those things that happen you experienced perhaps in your home that they were not handled properly, they would have gone out of hand?
I think some of the things that would cause competition would be, for example, one is doing well more than the others.
Yeah.
And and the others are constantly working or striving to get closer to them.
Yes.
Without realizing actually we are very different. Okay? So so that's competition in between brothers and sisters. For example, one is doing well financially or academically, and the others are feeling we need to match up to them. And it can never happen sometimes because we are very, very different. Okay? Something else, that rivalry can come in because of parents.
Yeah.
You can realize a parent is favoring one child over the others. And I don't know why most of the time it's last borns. Everyone's like, especially if you come from a big family. And for example, during breakfast, there's little bread left. They'll be like, wachieni mtoto hiyo. And everyone is like, why? We are all hungry. We need to go to school. So parents can really, really be a big cause of that sibling rivalry. Yeah.
So does it start when they're young, or are there things that maybe get worse when you're older? For you, Sylvia?
I would say it starts when maybe people start growing up.
Okay.
And everyone is growing into their own identity, and sometimes someone cannot figure out their own identity. So at that point, maybe you feel like I need to be this person, especially maybe in a family when they keep on giving example of this person, like you should be like so and so, you should be like so and so, and you're like, why not them to be like me? So it can start at that age when people are growing, and sometimes it can start even with smaller children, when others are preferred more than the others.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sharon, you're a last born. Is it true what they said? Did you experience hiyo mkate ya mwisho?
Like house chores wewe upatiwe mingi.
Unakuwa favored. Did you experience that?
Yeah, to be honest, yes. At some point, like your party ya mkate, yes, that was somehow true. But in regards to the causes of sibling rivalry, I agree with all of them. And also to add on that, the issue of familiarity. Sometimes, like for example, all of us, we are sisters, we are siblings. We are very tight, we love each other, but again, we also have to create that, like there's that respect that we have amongst ourselves, so that at least you understand you don't cross someone else's line. Yeah, so that one is also one of the most important thing to always watch out as siblings in order not to found yourself like you've crossed that line.
Okay. What about being punished for someone else's mistake? Did you guys experience that?
A lot.
That was like, it was, but again, thinking about it, it was not very, very common. I think our mom and dad, of course, our dad was a disciplinarian.
Okay.
Our mom was the
sweetheart.
The sweet one, yeah. So we went. Yes, it happened, but not. It was not very, very common. Yeah, it was not very common that Hilda would make a mistake and punished on her behalf.
But have you seen
But
that
I
happening in other families?
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
it does.
even in ours, I like what Vivian has said, but I think, I always believe our older brothers, hey, had a bigger share. Because the way they were beaten, you know, dad would come and look. He was a strict person, a very a disciplinarian actually. So he'd walk. In fact, we would hear the car, and everyone would run. What is it that we have not,
No,
made
of
it
course,
right?
you start being
Stretch the
squeaky.
bed.
That-
Oh my
that is
God!
so
Then
real
you
to me,
sit
yeah.
in your seat. Yeah, and
And you
then
start reading
I
a
remember
book.
so many, and you start reading a book. Sometimes it will even be upside down. Remember, as long as you have a book. And I remember so many times our older brothers would be called somewhere, come here, and you would hear canes. And I would feel sometimes it's because of something that happened. And because we are a little younger, our dad wouldn't spend so much time trying to explain. So the others would face the consequences.
Because they're older, they're expected to behave. And I think, in my opinion, I think that also clashes.
Yeah.
You find the older siblings hating the younger ones. Have you had that? Is that why you guys are closer than they are closer in their own direction? For like kila mtu click yake. Si tulichapwa juu yenu. Does that happen? Do you guys ever talk about it and realize maybe something like that could be happening in your family?
No, I don't think that they really took that into like seriously that they're being punished. But I think it made them just grow up and know that they're supposed to take care of the younger ones. So they never took it like something as a punishment or cruelty as such.
Okay.
Yeah.
In fact, on the flip side of it, our older brother grew up very responsible. When we lost our dad, actually he had already stepped up because of the discipline and the culture that our father had introduced.
Yeah, sure.
That's true.
I want to look at, because you've said something that touched all of us. San pia ulikuwa unakimbia ukisikia gari.
Hey, what about the story yangu, I think hata sijui venye naweza explain, because is this one time my parents were farmers. They are farmers, but now ventured into different types of farming. So back then we were grazing cows, so hatujazipatia majani the whole day. And then tunawasikia ndo wale huko, so you mwaga the gunias there, anaambia ng'ombe kula. Mimi nitamalizwa sasa. That night we never spent home. Tuliambiwa kila mtu aende kwake sasa. And they young, unajua.
Katafute kwenyu.
Bana. Cows kia hapa waishia. So
But you know what? I think they had a different way of disciplining us. And I want to ask you both of your parents, eh?
Yes.
Are you? Is there anyone else?
No. Same.
You too. Have you experienced that with your own children? Are there some of the things you used to see in your family that you actually now see as you're, bringing up your kids?
Yes, of course, being a parent now, there are things growing up, of course, we experience. But now, I think for me, what I intentionally try to do is when I realize I'm defaulting to my mom or my dad's style of disciplining the child, then I just become very intentional, you know? Because I realize, like my dad, I'm those ones who beat, think later, you know? but now I'm just being very conscious because again I realize my daughter's personality is very different. She's those ones, she wants to have a conversation with you. Because if you go beat, think later, then she's like, Mama, why did you beat me? You know, because...
And damage is already done.
It's already
at that
done,
time.
yeah. So now I'm being very intentional because the default is beat fast. Now I'm just being very conscious,
And
For
and
you,
I
Dad,
think
you
for
experienced the
me,
same?
Yeah, I think for me, I've realized parenting in this generation is a bit different. It's more of conversations.
Okay.
Yeah, because I remember, not even once or twice, my daughter has done something and I feel this is very wrong. Yeah, and I'm like, Nimaru, come here. And she said, don't beat me first, let's talk. And she's 6 years old.
Oh my
by
God.
the way. And every time I've beaten her before we have a conversation, she would come back later and say, but Mom, why did you beat me? And she would try to explain.
Okay.
And let me tell you the truth, sometimes at the end of it all, it makes sense and you're like, now why did I beat this girl? You know, so it's more about conversation and talking to them and understanding why did you do this so that next time it doesn't repeat.
I think our parents never used to understand first. You know, because you get someone and you start beating them.
No, our
Before
parents
you
had
even
reflex.
explain.
They should would have hit you before you even asked what happened to you. But now question is, knowing that you've grown up in a big family, you guys had sometimes, maybe fights. I believe you did. How did you find ways of, what are some of those ways that you used to come back together? Because it's one thing to fight, it's another to find, your way back to that person. How did you first fight?
We still
Okay.
even fight. Like,
Even now.
Yeah.
Okay.
But right now I think
It's more civilized.
It's
like
unhealthy.
Yeah,
It's
it's
healthy.
by the way unagree hivyo. Mimi na miss hivi ndo nakoma nayo lakini acha ikae hivyo.
So you fought, yeah?
Yeah.
So
Yes.
how do you ensure that you don't let it, go back into hatred? Because it's very easy for you to slip into hatred.
I would say in our family we are people who are very forgiving.
Okay.
We are very forgiving. No matter what someone does to you, there's a way we always find a place just to forgive. Sometimes we don't revisit the issues that had come up, but we just forgive.
Okay.
Yeah, and also understanding their different personalities. I just feel like this is how she is, this is how he is, and you take them the way they are.
Is that always the case?
But before getting to forgiving,
Yeah,
I think we talk a lot.
Okay.
As a
Yeah,
family,
a lot,
that's
yeah.
just the bottom line. Because in the evenings, we would find ourselves together sitting up to very late hours. And you can't be seated and you're just staring at each other. I can't talk. So people would always find times to talk and say, hey, by the way, ay, lakini leo mulinionea. And people will discuss and laugh. Let me tell you, the next day, it's like nothing happened. So I think one of the ways that really helped us as a family, and it still works today, is we talk a lot. We don't sweep so much, we don't sweep things under the carpet. By the way, even to our mom, if she was unfair, we all are like, mom,
Yeah.
by the way, no, it's unfair. And we
Okay.
discuss it, and then
And to add on that,
Yeah.
we are intentional about, yes, we are siblings, but we are also intentional about friendship. So
Okay.
we've created that bond as friends at the same time as siblings. So whenever even someone has offended you, you cannot keep it. Like, you just have to resolve it as at a friend level before you go to the siblings level.
I think you don't know how to live away from each other for long.
Exactly.
Very
Is this something you created when you were young, now growing up?
I think yes,
Yeah,
and maybe also just to add to what the rest have said about how do we come back together. And I think now thinking about it, sometimes when you grow up, you're growing up, you never think about it seriously. Like what Sylvia said is about forgiveness, and that is something we've learned really from our mom. Because I think she's the bond that puts us together
Okay.
most of the time. Because sometimes we get into very bad conflicts, and before you know it, she's calling you. What is it that I hear? You guys, you need to talk. And we get back and we talk. And another thing again is that we really depend on each other somehow, Like I know if I'm in a situation, the person that I will call first is Sharon, Hilda, or Sylvia. So we have each other's back. Let's say when I'm traveling for work, whether we had a conflict or not. I need someone to be around, at least with my daughter and family, and there, someone who's, I can trust to live. Of course, the nanny is there. So whether we had a conflict or not, I'll be Sharon. Hey, how are you doing? I'm away this week. Please, can you come? You see, it melts down and makes things.
Because you need each other.
Yeah, we need each other. We
Okay.
need each other. Yeah.
Son, you have a question?
Yeah, I wanted to ask, at what point, because the setup for you is different from any other family out there. You are lucky that you grew up together and maybe your parents enforced that, like mtaishi pamoja. Like mtaishi pamoja, unajua. So at what point or what scenario, if you're comfortable sharing, that maybe went south and you are like for a week, or the longest, like atongeleshani, I want us to think on that when we come back. I want us to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, then we discuss about it.
Perfect.